So I wanted to go through a demonstration of how I paint three printed figures. This is a 1/48 scale figure. Go through all the steps, and it's a pretty simple, fast process and easy to follow, so anyone can do this. So the process we're going to use is called a zenithal highlight, and basically we're going to use a dark color first, and I use a blend. It's in a custom bottle here. It's basically a mix between Tamiya black and red brown, and it's mixed heavily with alcohol. It's probably 90% or more alcohol to paint ratio. And we're going to shoot this from every angle, the sides, the top, the bottom, the entire thing. So here you can see that this isn't pure black. If you look right around the edges, you should be able to see that there's a little bit of a reddish brown hue right on the edges. Flooded out here, you should be able to see that it's not stark black. And so basically just going to paint the model from all angles, and this should be the result. And now we're going to come in with the white, and again we're just going to shoot directly from above straight down onto the model. We only want to hit the high spots, and this will create shadows in the recessed areas and highlights on all the high spots. All right, so now the next step is to go over and use basically a glaze or a filter over top of the zenithal highlight to apply tonal values or color. I like to use Vallejo. It seems to work really well for brush painting. It lays down smooth, and it's easy to thin, and it really seems to tend to work well with brush painting. So to thin down the Vallejo paints, we're basically going to use, it's a blend of, I have it mixed up here in a little squirt bottle. It's propylene glycol, this is the prop, and H2O, so in a 50-50 mix. The propylene glycol prevents the acrylic from drying out too quickly. And so the propylene glycol, I've had a little bit of trouble finding it. And what I ended up settling on is what's sold on Amazon as a liquid to put into a cigar humidifier. But it's essentially propylene glycol and distilled water. So it's already thinned slightly, but I go ahead and thin it further with water. And there's the brand that I found online. So that seems to be the easiest way to get it. I think you can also get it at farm supply stores, but this is nice and convenient. All right, and so I like to start at the bottom and work my way up. And so I'm starting out here with the shoes, and this is Vallejo Camo Black Brown. It's just a dark brown color. Even at 1/48 scale, unlike some of the larger figure painters out there, 1/32 and larger, there's not a lot of opportunity for intense detail at this scale. So, it's really just washes over large areas of the model to impart the look. And so the entire painting process is basically going to be the same thing. So for the rest of the video, I'll just let this play and you can watch the process. I'll put the Vallejo colors that I'm using at any point in the video up on the screen. This is IDF Sand Gray, or Israeli Sand Gray. The important part of the glaze process is that you thin the paints down pretty significantly and then apply multiple layers to build up the color to where you want it. And the reason for that is you don't want to totally destroy the highlight and shadow that you built in with the first zenithal highlight phase. And so by thinning it, you can see here as I'm painting, you can barely tell the color difference. Of course, it's a gray basically with the white and black, and then I'm painting gray on top of it. But there's a warmth to the gray that I'm overpainting in the glaze. And you'll see later in the video that after several coats, you really do, you've got the color, and it'll become more evident on the vest and jacket. So this is probably one of the steps that might be intimidating for some people, but it's really pretty simple. So skin tone is just yellow, white, and red. Um, Mostly white, a touch of yellow, and just a pinprick of red. You can then alter that, darker, lighter, more pink, more yellow. You'll see here that I sort of start with this just generic medium skin tone. Then that tends to look a little pink, and so the yellow, if you add a little more yellow back into the mix, that can sort of give it a more lifelike, you know, suntan appearance. And so you'll see that I come in and I highlight some areas, and then I apply more of a yellow filter over top of that. And to blend, you'll see it here in 1 second. Um, I'm dipping the brush in just some plain water and propylene glycol, and that'll blend the two together. And then you can come back in and further refine that. All right, so the next key ingredient here is a little bit of dry brushing. And so I'm going to use a dry brushing brush and IDF's sand gray, get most of the paint off, and it's just a typical dry brush to bring out some of the high spots. This will sort of alter the overall color a little bit. I might have went a little heavy-handed on some areas, but it just increases contrast. And really, one of the last steps is a dark wash, and I'm using Tamiya Panaline, and this is the dark brown color. And basically, you're going to go over the entire model, light areas, dark areas, it doesn't matter. It's a very thin wash, and this is an enamel, so it's not going to interact with the acrylic that's underneath it. So it's safe to basically, flood the model with this enamel wash. And honestly, you could probably just dunk the model in the bottle. I'm applying it with a brush with the built-in applicator brush just because it's a nice small brush and it gives you a little bit of control. Um, Maybe there's, I am trying to focus on the recessed areas to sort of bring those back out. So the combination of the dry brushing and then the panel line wash really enhances the contrast and sort of unifies everything. So the last thing that I like to do is go over and airbrush it with a dull coat or a flat clear. I use Tamiya flat clear with Mr. Hobby um, leveling thinner 400, and that just protects the paint process and makes it more durable. And then I'll usually drill a hole in the feet or one of the feet and put a wire in there so that it can be mounted on a base or on your layout. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and you can download this model at Coleraine Models. There's several other figures available in multiple scales, as well as some other details and rolling stock kits and things like that. So hope you enjoyed it, and consider subscribing. I hope to put out a lot more videos coming soon. Thank you.